All right, it's good afternoon. Hello, everyone. We have meteorologist Brian Good. Yeah, I know it's an afternoon blog today. I had some issues this morning that if I don't allow enough time for you guys, then I always try to make sure that I create a window where I have enough time to spend with you. I always feel like I'm rushed a lot. So if I can't get my points out in an early morning blog, I will delay it until a little bit later in the afternoon because I don't want to cheat you guys out anything that's going on in my noggin, which I'm not sure you want to be in there anyway. So here's the deal. We still have some snow chances. They are light, as you might imagine. Otherwise, I would be jumping up and down. This would have been probably the 8th blog post today if there was something big coming. So usually you can tell by our tone that it's status quo. But it's all about when we're having this happen. That I think is the most significant and is the best way to look at this as a glass half full type of setup. I'll explain in just a few moments. In fact, let's get right into the snowboard itself. We'll start there. And it's really the same two items, right? The two clipper potentials that we see, one being Friday, although it's speeding up a bit where it's trending more toward Friday morning and may linger all the way into Friday night. The one Saturday, I put it as a band of flurries. I think it's had 3 different descriptors so far. But in general, there's not a lot of moisture with it. But I'll show you why I labeled it the way I did to explain what to look for you weather enthusiasts out there, what to track on the Wave Weather app on Saturday to see if the forecast is on track or if there's something developing down the road there. All right. So more on that coming up in just a few moments. Today, though, it's been all about the yucky rain once again. How lovely was that? I'm sure you guys we're waterlogged. If you have a rain gauge, let me know how much you picked up in your area. I'm going to show you the general amounts of the past 2 events, but I'm sure a lot of you were well over a half inch and several 1 inch or close to 2 inch totals. I wouldn't be surprised, especially in central and southern Kentucky. The good news is this is all winding down. So now we're just dealing with the drizzle in some cases, especially south and east of Louisville, but a lot of low-hanging clouds, kind of a foggy scenario. The thermometer hasn't moved much, and it's not going to. If there's any movement at all, it would actually be in the way you wouldn't think. It's going to fall instead of rise today as we have a decent northwest wind that has arrived. We call that cold air advection, so that's going to keep fighting any type of warmth of the sun, even though the sun's hidden right now. It's still adding energy to our area. So that northwest wind will try to balance the weak sun angle right now and may allow for temperatures to fall. But those of you in southern Kentucky, you made it into the 60s in some cases. So it was a very warm period with rain and thunder, even a tornado warning that came out near Nashville very late last night, early this morning. So, but no reports of flooding. I've heard of just a lot of ponding of water, which is sort of be expected. Now, if we were to get another one of these rain events in just a few days, we would have bigger problems. But we are going to get a nice little break coming our way. Here's the radar estimate of this most recent round event. Anywhere where you see the darker green is at least 1 inch. You see the yellow, that's about 2 inches. And obviously, any shade under the darker green is going to be less than 1 inch, which in many cases, that's what Louisville got. It's about 3/4 up to maybe 8/10 of an inch. So close to the 1 inch mark, but not quite to get the green shade over your area. But you get the idea that most of this was a Kentucky event, as that was expected. Data did that well. It fluctuated, wobbled a bit on the northern track there on how to bring in those 1 to 2 inch totals, how far into Bullitt County and to maybe southern Jefferson. It looks like the cutoff was very close between Shepherdsville and the Brooks exit. I mean, pretty sharp line that cuts off there. All right, but that's the most recent round. And now let me add in the round from what we had earlier this week along with this one. And you can see that everyone's had a decent amount. A lot more of the 2 inch marks start to show up now when you get into that category. So, yeah, Central Kentucky, waterlogged here, and even a good chunk of Indiana. It's really Jefferson County, Indiana, Carroll, and maybe Franklin. You've had some rain, but you've had the least amount compared to all of us so far. So if there are any additional heavy rain events in, say, in the next week, you guys would be able to handle it without any major issues. But we would have to watch West Kentucky for sure, depending on how fast this drainage works out. We could run into more flooding issues at times because there are several systems showing up at the end of December that have a lot of rainfall potential with them. So they do bear watching. So just kind of a heads up there. The radar now winding down. drizzle, heavy, steady rain to the south. Now, the sky is trying to clear back to the Wabash, but don't get too excited on that because there's still a flow of clouds that is racing in along this front that keeps feeding the clouds over us. So while the clearing line's trying to work its way in, I think it'll arrive too late in the day to make a difference as that cold air sinks south. And you can see all the warm weather that we had a taste of, some 60s, even down south, 70s. Well, not nice, but they're about to see an end to that as the front slices through that area. Meanwhile, this area is cold. Yes, it's moving in, or chilly, but it's nothing brutal. This is Canadian cold that has arrived. Now, the true Arctic cold. Oh, well, there it is. There it is up there in central Canada. And this is the clipper on Friday that is going to grab it and yank it straight down to the Ohio River Valley. So this is our cold blast, is all thanks to the clipper that's located right now near Saskatchewan and heading south and east. So once it moves on by, that's when we have a chance to moderate, it looks like, by Christmas. All right, here it is on a Futurecast setup, hour by hour. I told you about the rain in the front moving on by. Here's what's going to be a little bit of a thorn in tonight. If we clear out at all tonight, and some of the models are a little too aggressive sometimes on clearing after a decent rain episode, but if we were to clear out at all tonight, not during the day today, because the sun would help alleviate the situation I'm about to explain, but if we clear out at night and with a wet ground, colder air flowing in, it's a good recipe to get some fog that can develop. And we'll have to watch the freezing line too, as it'll be draped through the valleys early in the morning hours. But you can see how that fog kind of just expands. More so in Kentucky, heads backwards, it will develop and kind of roll in from the east in central Kentucky. Not a strong signal yet because there's some data that shows that the cloud forms just above, say, maybe 400 to 500 feet. All right, that's just low clouds where the buildings, like you're driving around downtown Louisville, the buildings are chopped off, right? That's a huge travel issue because you can see the roads fine. And some of the data brings it down to less than a few meters off the ground, which would mean you're driving through a cloud, and therefore you got dense fog, and that's a whole other ball game. The data is varying a bit on the height of that because we don't know how much clearing we're going to have this evening. So right now it could be fog or clouds early tomorrow. Just be aware there could be some changes in that forecast. It's a minor issue, but at least want to mention it. We'll get back into sun Thursday afternoon, and then here comes the clipper that'll dive down as we head into Friday morning. This is the Arctic front, and again, can provide for maybe initially some rain, snow, or even freezing drizzle and snowflakes may accompany the very beginning stages of that. Otherwise, because it's spinning mainly over Cincinnati, we're just going to get just rounds wrapped around it of snow showers that will be flying through at times. And as we evolve in the very end of the scene here, which is interesting, as you can get maybe a lake effect snow band or two, depending on the wind direction, that may even try to put down some light snow into southern Indiana if the Lake Michigan snow band can reach this far, and sometimes it does. So either way, this is minor on the snow side, but boy, it's going to be cold. Snowfall potential on this. I'm going to go higher, and this is literally just discussing can the ground get coated or not. I'm not talking amounts, just a covering or not. That potential is higher to the east, lower in our area, and certainly lower the more south and western travel. So not a big snow, but it's festive flakes. You got a lot of last minute shopping to do. It's actually a really nice scene for that. After it moves on by, there is the one more on Saturday that is still showing up at times. It moves down across Iowa, but it has a very sharp path that it has to dive nearly due south. And it really just doesn't have a lot of moisture to work with. It could develop moisture with it as we get a little bit closer to Saturday. But right now I'm thinking it may just be a band of flurries that will just break out Saturday night. But something we'll be watching because we'll be very cold. We'll be in the lower 20s and teens. So even a little batch of flurries can cause some slick spots. And then here we go for Christmas. As the cold air is retreating, there is just enough around to where this system is very weak. It's just organized enough to allow the thermometer to get into the 40s. But it isn't strong enough to overpower the cold air that arrives this weekend and pushes into the 60s. So that's why the warmer weather for next week will be after Christmas, not during Christmas. I think Christmas is going to be chilly in the 40s with some light rain, and then we'll ramp things up with rain, maybe some thunderstorms at play. We'll see as we close out 2024. Right now, the outlook for Christmas will go 48 with a 30% chance of rain. Right now, the polar vortex still very much locked up across the North Pole, as you might suspect there. We'll see what happens as we get into January. There are a lot of signals for the first and second week of January. After this reloads, it comes for an attack. Every time I've seen the polar vortex do this, though, where it does its reloading phase and then plans its next attack, that next one can be quite brutal. And at this point, now we would be talking about the time frame of January, the coldest time of the year typically. So things could still get wild down the road. There's just no definitive signal right now. I'm going to go into more detail on that coming up later this week on the blog before we get into the holiday break there. Okay, let's get you to the 10-day and wrap this up. Any questions you got? I think it's self-explanatory of seeing the 40s and then that clipper snow. And then we'll watch Christmas all the way through Hanukkah and Kwanzaa there to keep an eye on the rain chances. All right, let's see. Sean, the wind and thunder was loud this morning in Taylorsville. Yeah, it was a bit loud out there for sure. Let's see. When was the last time we had a 4-inch snow? It's been a long time. It has been. I want to say it was 2018, but I could be wrong. I know we had 11-inch snow on 2018 in March because I remember it being stuck in my eyebrows. Let's see. That 60 looks nice. It does, doesn't it? All right. You guys are cool. Again, sorry it's a short one today. Myra's going to be on just. What? You got a few minutes? Yeah. You sure? Yeah. Myra's just listening here, taking notes. She's wanting to be a meteorologist one day, and I keep telling her, don't do it. No, don't do it. Don't do it. People just get upset with it. You say snow, and you get blocked. You get blocked by every social media account. So you say snow, just don't do it. Just don't do it. I think they can hear you.
Oh, hi, guys.
She says hi. Everyone say hi back to Myra. All right, so we'll have another update on how this is trending for those snow showers on Friday and watching the fog set up. I'm going to look over the data on that. I'll be back at 3 o'clock, and we'll kind of cover how that is looking at that time. And we'll see how things can change. This time of year, sometimes you can get some fun changes, so you never know. All right, a lot of highs to you, Myra, so there you go. Everyone is saying hello. They love you. All right. Okay, it's enough of Myra. Let's move on. Everyone have a good rest of the day today. I will see you guys on the flip side.